initiative and you try to change the tide of the game and actually play with a certain responsibility, then you're doing more than Cirque did.
Well, let's hear from the new gun himself. It's Wiz with Banks.
Okay, so we're just starting 2023 with the main EG roster. It's your first S-tier event. I want to see, were you shocked and just how did you feel when this all came about?
Yeah, so it's a little bit unexpected for me, but I think now that I'm here, I just gotta kind of just work hard and just play my best, and then just we'll see where it goes from here.
I love that. That's a good attitude for sure. Now, how much practice time have you had with the guys? When did you get to Europe? How's it been looking so far?
Yeah, so we've been boot camping here for around like a week and a half. Got here like January 5th. So not like the longest time to practice, but I think we've been working hard. We've been working relatively long days, and I think we have a somewhat cohesive plan coming into this game.
And what's the biggest change for you personally when you've come into this team and anything with your roles and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think personally, the biggest change for me was getting to play with these new experienced players. I think they have, a lot of beneficial like tips for me to kind of integrate myself into their team play. So I think that's probably the biggest change.
Okay, and in terms of this is going to be your first game against a serious opponent in terms of heroic tier 1, not an easy team, but in practice and stuff, have you noticed it's a lot harder or is it much the same for you?
It's definitely a lot harder, but I think that I kind of adapted pretty quickly overall. Obviously, I don't think I'm quite a tier 1 ready yet, but I think over time I'll get there.
I like that. So you got the confidence with it. And when we're talking about confidence, I heard in Vorborg's interview, he said that you have huge potential. When you hear something like that from your coach, does that add any extra pressure or does it make you feel better?
I mean, a little bit of both, but it's definitely very helpful to hear from my coach that, that he believes in me, that he thinks that I can reach that potential, and, hopefully it comes true.
Hear a grounded answer coming out of Wiz, just saying full force, I'm not totally ready for tier 1, but this is the opportunity to be springboarding and potentially reaching those heights as well. Of course, we do see the map vetoes coming in, and this was something that we were also talking about, Matthew. If there's another thing you want going wrong in the way of EG, it's Dust 2 being removed from the map pool, obviously in favor of Anubis.
Yeah, listen, bottom line, it was always going to be complicated for EG to maneuver the veto, and even more so now that Dust 2 has been replaced by Anubis. Dust 2 famously the veto of Heroic, which they said in a couple of interviews, we can technically play 7 maps now.
Sure.
Your EG or go for Inferno. I don't think it's a particularly weak map for Heroic. Might not be the one they go for, but they can definitely play it. On the other side, you can punish if you're Heroic. You can go for an Ancient, and we'll see if the blueprint's ready for Ancient.
Well, yeah, struggle city for EG coming into things, but for Heroic, basically the opposite end of the spectrum as we see them currently, the world reigning champions, world #1s, of course, managing to lift their first trophy at the full finals, which, Jacob, was a very emotional moment for the team.
Yeah, finally, right? Finally, they were able to do it. Finally, they were able to fully come together and win that trophy that they've been fighting for such a long time. We can't forget, we talked about it for the vast majority of 22, the fact that they were able to replace Refresh, bring in Yabi, and that was a roster move that made them, take that level or take that step up where they potentially could contest for these trophies. With Refresh, they were a very solid team. They were a strong team, but with Yabi, we saw the full potential come together in Copenhagen. Unfortunately for them, they didn't play with Stavn in the final event of the year in Abu Dhabi, and that's a bit of a bummer way to go out, right? Because they were on a ride, major semi-final coming into Copenhagen, winning the event, and then Abu Dhabi left you with a bit of a sour taste in your mouth, which is why I'm ready to see them. I'm ready to see Heroic come out in full force right here. I'm ready to see Stavn once again being integrated, and I'm ready to see if Heroic actually is ready to be the best team in the world.
I know, it's about confirming. It's about confirmation if you're Heroic. It's about proving to anybody that you just didn't have 2 good weeks in 2022 when you went from the major to Copenhagen, because technically if you want to be a naysayer, you could point this out. But as you probably alluded to, I think it's been a long time coming for Heroic. The fact that they stuck together for so long, they made the one change with Refresh, but they still remain true to their identity. We know the Counter-Strike they played. They just basically tweaked the last few percent they had to. They had to just play a little bit better in playoffs. We talked about the ceiling they had. Usually when they hit quarterfinal, semifinal, they'd bust through that at the end of 22. That gives me hope. That gives me confidence that we're going to see a very competitive Heroic. I see no reason why they would disappear and revert back to their level.
Well, let's get some thoughts from the in-game leader coming into their first game of the Blast Premier Spring Groups.
Now, what did the start of the year look like for you guys? What did you do in order to be ready for these opening tournaments?
We had 2 half days in the beginning of the year, very early on, and then we went on to 1-week boot camp at the house that Heroic has in Oslo, in Norway. And yeah, it was also a lot of me being pretty harsh on my boys, yeah, they needed to get their asses kicked a little bit, and I hope that that's enough to have a good start for the season. I think expectations are just so high when coming off the break. You played so well, and you meet in again like 2 or 3 weeks later where people are not in the same individual shape. The communication is a little bit off. So yeah, You can ask my boys. I think I've been pretty harsh.
All right, I'll check in with him a bit later on. Now, EG is your first opening opponent here. Obviously a team that hasn't been very competitive in recent times. Cert goes out, a very stable AWPer for him, but he's had his worries. Wiz comes in, there's not much we know about them. But are they a real threat to you? Is this just a warm-up game that you guys would like?
I think you should never underestimate anyone, you know, and especially not at the first game of the season. I think maybe if we were halfway through the season and you said that I was playing EG under these circumstances, I would predict it to be a pretty easy game. But considering that it's the first one, you have some jitters, you need to play your way out. I think that it might be more difficult than we hope for. But then again, you said it yourself, we're number 1 in the rankings right now. We play a team that hasn't done well for a long time. So obviously we need to go in and win this game. There's no doubt about that.
I love that honesty coming out from Katie in there, saying, you know what, he's going to be harsh on the team coming into a boot camp just before the season starting because they had such a great end to the year, you know, if we're excluding World Finals from that list.
Yeah, this is real talk about Cadian, and that's something I can appreciate and respect. He's always a character that's going to kind of create a division in the community. You either love him or you hate him, but you cannot damage the fact that he is who he is and he has his way of thinking about the game and how he should be a captain, and that's who he is. He'll go on an interview and say, yeah, I kicked the head out of my teammates because we needed to be awake and 100% full for the start of the season. And he is right. It's very easy to be complacent. You look at the HLTV rating, you're at home, you're like, oh man, we're the best team in the world. So cool. You go into here and you get your ass kicked. Good for Cadian to be aware of that.
The one thing that worries me though a little bit, the fact that we now speak about Heroic as being a favorite. We speak about Heroic perhaps being ready to be the best team in the world. And if you look at their team and the way they conducted themselves historically speaking, they've always thrived well being the underdog, right? Everyone is against them. You know, the whole coaching scandal with Hunton, etc., etc. It was like the Heroic against the world. I feel like they feed off that energy. I feel like they perform the best under that energy. And now Cadian is coming in saying that he's being very harsh on his teammates. He wants them to come out and be prepared for the first tournament of the year. It's a complete new added pressure to be the best in the world, or at least trying to defend that position. Can Heroic withstand that pressure? Are they made for that? Or were they better being the underdog team? That's my only concern in terms of whether or not Heroic can maintain this level.
Yeah, that is a very interesting point coming into things, whether they're actually going to be able to survive that pressure when we're looking at, you know, the stars that surround Cadian in this as well. Obviously, we've talked about Starn already, but the fact that they needed him so much in this roster, I mean, the numbers, you just got to look at them in 2022, absolutely stand out from him.
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't say that they rely on Starn the way a Na'Vi would rely on Simple or Vitality would rely on Zywoo. I think it would be unfair to the rest of the cast, but you cannot argue against the idea that he is the best player in Heroic, he's one of the best players in the world, and he has such diverse capabilities.
Yeah.
Right? We know what he can do with the pistol, with the secondary AWP, with the rifle, opening, closing. He can do pretty much everything. So of course, when he's not here, they're going to struggle. But I don't think it's a dig or an attack on the roster. No. I just think that's how valuable Starn is as a player.
Well, let's get some thoughts from Starn coming into this match.
Now, Cadian told me that when it came to the boot camp, he kind of gave you guys a little kick to get yourself ready. What was that like? What was he doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's always like that when you get when you have a break, everyone, like, with family and stuff like that, and you don't touch CS that much. And then once you get back, like, the communication is not always there. People are probably missing some shots and stuff like that. And of course, he, like, wants to set the bar high, and I think that's really good for the team. And yeah, in the beginning was a bit rough, but we've managed to come after it.
Now, looking at your group and the other teams in it, right, you've got EG to start off with, then there's Vitality, Astralis as well. But do you guys consider yourselves the absolute favourites here, and do you think just getting the straight spring final spot is the only thing you guys are focused on?
Yeah, I mean, that's the main goal, right, to qualify. And I would say it's going to be exciting to see, like, what Astralis will bring with the device coming up, to see how his form is and stuff like that. So yeah, it's an exciting group.
Is that a match you'd like to have? Would you like to face off against them?
Yeah, for sure, always.
The rules of Heroic say they are ready to be getting into the server for this one. But before we do that, one more play we do need to put under the spotlight is Shush, because of some interesting information that's been revealed recently.
He's still in Heroic, right? He's still wearing that jersey, and he actually had the opportunity of going to Astralis. His contract was running out. Astralis poached him, but he chose Heroic above Astralis. And to me, that's a very interesting point, right? I'm born and raised in Danish Counter-Strike, and ever since Astralis came out, ever since they've been this powerhouse, they have always been able to pick and choose what players they wanted. No doubt Shoes is a very talented player and a skilled player, but the fact of the matter is that whole powertrain in Denmark, that has changed. If you're a young talent right now, growing up playing Counter-Strike in Denmark, you're looking towards Heroic. That's the team you want to join. You don't want to join Astralis right now because they're struggling massively. And that right there, the fact that they were able to keep Shoes within this lineup, is a massive statement right now that Heroic is the top dog in Denmark.
I know, right? And it's so crazy because there's a disconnect between the images, the symbols we have in our mind and the actual results. We're standing here kind of surprised that, oh my gosh, Shush would stay in Heroic. But it's very logical in terms of Counter-Strike. The power has shifted. Heroic is the best team in Denmark. There's no comparison possible. Astralis are merely trying to catch up with them. They are the top dog. Heroic is the one that leads the charge in Denmark.
Yeah, and currently world reigning number ones, but we'll have to see how it goes down in 2023, and it all begins here. Heroic taking on Evil Geniuses, Inferno, Ancient, then Overpass if we do so need it. It's Marian Anders back with all the action in just a few.
The first experiment's underway. The first experiment is crazy. Who's actually coming out on top when it becomes Yakinder versus Stown? Let's go! Clearly, it seems like Yakinder's got the hot start, but what Yakinder doesn't know is what's to come. For now, again, things will be simple, things will be easy, we'll keep it nice and clean, but they don't know who's in the Chaos Room, who's in the Zen mode, and ultimately, it's Yakinder who's about to get screwed with. So, we'll let him enjoy his moment. At the end of this, though, things get interesting. We'll go check in with Stown. Stown has started the day a little cold, but that's fine, because again, things are gonna stay quiet in here. We're gonna give Stown a great environment. We're gonna give Yakinder more and more challenges. This was the easy round, okay? This was when things were the most normal.
Warm round.
So, Stown, we're gonna send you back to your room. Some things stay the same, some things are about to get very different.
Okay, what's going on here? This is an interesting mood set for gaming. We got the bathrobe here, some candles. That's pretty nice. I'm down to play some CS.
In Yakinder's room, we're gonna start to crank the dial, so to say. Let's hit it.
So, what is... If you think it's gonna distract me, it's not gonna work. Okay, maybe it does work. Chill out, I'm losing.
Boy, focus, Tony. We need to win this.
Hello and welcome everybody. 2023 is finally here. In case you didn't notice, it is New Year of Counter-Strike. Maui, how are you doing?
Excellent, excellent. If you told me a few years ago I was going to be kicking off the New Year's by casting with Anders, voice of Counter-Strike Bloom, I would have said, there's no way.
We've flown you halfway across the world.
Pretty much the whole way.
Yeah.
I probably went over the world twice, actually.
Well, it's a good thing that you're here because we've got EG playing up against Heroic, so we need somebody with a little bit of North American fan insight.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that's you.
Yes.
That's gotta be.
I was there actually when ESL 1 New York took place, when Evil Geniuses won their first trophy with more or less the core of this lineup. Obviously, it's changed a lot since then, and both EG and myself have come a long way. I've gone up, they've gone quite far down.
Yeah, they are still searching a little bit for the bottom, although they made some interesting changes now. Getting rid of Cirque. What's your off the top of your head kind of opinion on that?
Ooh, Cirque was not performing at the level that Evil Geniuses needed him to if they wanted to compete on the world stage. So they've now brought in Wiz, a player that some have some hopes for, but I think people are doing it with bated breath. There aren't the biggest Wiz stands out just yet, and on the other side of the server, Heroic, I mean, they're not going to make things easy on Wiz.
No, they're definitely not. And we're not going to waste any time either. We're right into the action. We're on Inferno to begin with, and EG, they're going to be on the T side with the work on the CT side, and already automatic charging the top of Banana. They are kind of positioned with the bomb on the other side, so I don't think this is ever going to be a full all-in on that B bomb side, and a pretty default spread coming out from Heroic on the defensive side. They're not doing anything out of the ordinary. Work so towards the coffins and the flash going over the wall. Still a perfect defense put up by Heroic.
You could see that Heroic never felt the pressure. They felt like they were always advantage. EG, after throwing those smokes, they waited. They wanted to see if Heroic bit. But if you're the favorites in this kind of matchup, you don't need to swing through any smokes. You don't need to do anything unnecessary there. And EG, just not enough oomph in their step. Not really finding too much. Heroic, they've been one of the successes of the previous year, though. That Yabby move at first,
hell yes,
looked a little bit confusing. Looked like maybe they were taking a step back, but we have seen that they have taken 2 steps forward. Wiz, he wants to replicate that kind of success with EG, but I'm just going to say it, Anders, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult.
I would be excited. I hope this EG project works out one way or another. I really want it to, because, I mean, I still feel like somebody like Automatic has more to prove, even if he seems like he's been sort of in the background for a while now. I'd still like to see that. And obviously Breeze as well. His highlight year was super spectacular, and then it kind of went away pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we see that EG has gone a very interesting route. They obviously have the triple rosters. They have the black, white, and this main team. They even have a women's team on top of that. And with just Glocks, don't think that this is going to be anything too special. Well, some but just a single casualty taken on the side of Heroic. It's not really like EG has given anybody to get too excited about. That's what I'm more or less trying to say. They've done a lot. They put a lot of resources into the North American space, but it hasn't actually produced any sort of results just yet. Whereas Heroic, all they needed last year was a single change, and now they're ranked #1 in the world.
Yeah, which is so crazy. It's so very difficult to do. I'm personally very suspicious usually when people bring up those single changes. I feel like it's so hard to make a single roster change work almost ever. So yeah, the fact that Heroic did it is spectacular. They've got something that they're really building on. Obviously finishing second at the major and all that, you've got to say it's just been very impressive overall. Third round coming up, we do have some AKs and a couple of Galils in play too, and a bit of a slow start. No real battle for Banana at the beginning of it. Worried about that Heroic utility damage. And a stack for one towards the A-bomb side with just a single player on B, which is pretty common stuff.
Yeah, nothing too unique about this just yet. Yabby jiggle peeking with this smoke. He'll be able to deploy that, play to block. But EG, I think that they want some more map control. They found this banana control so easily that they might even assume that there are more players from Heroic, that it's some kind of bait, but not the case as Heroic rotate Tessus on over. And we see that the EG lineup, most of their players, they're gathering up for this bracket take. Cadian, though, gets some info, and he finds a dink.
Yeah, timing could not really have been better for that one, so he's going to enjoy that. Probably spotted it out as well, that he did the damage. And the double setup down in pit, you can, if you have the grenade, you can block it off, but they kind of don't. Maybe a couple of smokes, but it's going to be hard to smoke all a pit off when you have to also worry about possibly library as well. Although it looks like they might try and split it. Look at Breeze. He's far right. If he can win this fight, it's huge. He's almost down for the smoke. Cadian, I don't know if he realizes, but he was really close to winning the round almost right then and there. 20 seconds on the clock, and they're thinking about entering this It's running really low at the moment, Maui. I don't know about this. Smoke up, Yabby. He's on top with the MP9. He can see everything, and they have to trust in the smoke. They don't have time to check everything. 8 seconds now. Hex is going to be picking up Tessa, and it is looking a little bit better. 3 versus 4. The bomb almost stopped, but they get the plant in the end. 3 on 3. I can't believe that EG got into this position at all.
Oh, and I can't believe that Breeze actually has stayed alive. This is going to be such a late lurk play if he's able to make it. Heroic, they have no utility. They don't even seem to have a kit. And Hex, he doesn't want to wait for Breeze to come. It's just Yabby. And this is a... Wow, I can't believe that this has worked for EG. That is a surprising result in that round. I'm shocked they were able to get through all that.
They really had no business winning this round, but, you know, they'll take it. It looked like Heroic had everything under control, especially that boost up on top. You could see that EG were just trusting in that smoke so badly, and it almost failed him. If he actually gets the kill on the planter there, it's over.
That hold from Nealon was essential. If he doesn't kill that player during the reboost right there, that's a round loss, and EG going to be down 3-0 in the hole. And now look at this. Heroic, they force back into it. Cadian, he wants that early blood towards middle. Won't be presented anything just yet.
And with the scout, it is a bit of a risk, but then again, it's Cadian, so I expect him to take risks pretty much throughout the game. He's kind of well known for that. But that's going to put a real break on the economy for that CT side. I don't think they're enjoying it. All right, he's been practicing the wall bangs.
Got some tricks.
Good to see he's been spending Christmas on something reasonable.
Yeah, he's looking refreshed. I want to see Heroic come into the season lighting everyone up, though. If they fall at the first hurdle to EG, this would be a disaster for them. This is supposed to be a team that's coming into the new season hungry. They want to show that fall finals wasn't a fluke, that they are a team that everybody needs to worry about. And I think Cadian's eyeing that first major. I think he wants Paris.
You have to assume. You have to, especially getting so close in Rio. That has to be the headline that he's looking for. Little 1-2 punch there. Yabby being traded for automatic. And Cadian, the scout doing the job, but Breeze is so close, and he was never in doubt about what he wanted to do. Leaving it in a 2-on-3. Stown and Hex just making a cross. They know that they're locked in. They can get to the bomb site, but they're in a very questionable position here, EG.
Oh yeah, shush. He's biding his time. Can't actually spot the planner just yet, but this is a pinch from 3 different directions. Tessus is a little bit far, so Heroic may want to wait. Oh, they're not waiting, actually. They're letting Hex isolate the duels there, and that may come back to bite him. Stown just burns alive, and now it's all up to Tessus. They didn't wait for him at all.
I wanted to see how the Molotov interacted with the hay card. It looked like he was out of it, but somehow he wasn't, and now it's on Tessus instead. 1 versus 2, and he's picked up the first headshot on Breeze, but Hex up on the box as wide as he could be. Getting the triple and clutching the round for EG, and that cements that previous round where they actually take away all the money. Now, suddenly Heroic are a little bit on the back foot.
Wow, EG have been behind in 2 of these rounds consecutively, yet they're still able to come up with the goods. That is impressive stuff. Oh, Stown just did not think that was going to happen. Oh, you see the grimace on Yabby's face there. That is a tough pill to swallow if you are Heroic. Down to pistols. EG, they might find their first lead of this game so early.
Did somebody yell they suck in the back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that, knowing Hex, I think that was him. He's been yelling since the very first time that he's gotten onto a stage.
I've got to be honest. This is one of the best things about North American Counter-Strike. I wish so badly that, you know, if the level could back it up, it's so entertaining to watch. So I want it to be the case.
A bit backhanded there, but have to agree.
A little bit, you know.
Yeah, those lands are, everybody can be the victim. They can also actually be the one dishing it out. I think that's the great thing about North American lands. They just, everybody's just gonna shout at each other, and oh, that's a missed smoke right there. That's not too pretty. You're not gonna be shouting about that. If you lose because of this round, I want Heroic to throw some trash talk back at them.
Surely they will. There's a flash setup, but I think smartly they're just leading automatic with a Mac 10, saying, all right, if there is a stack, and the flashbang kind of confirms it as well. Nealon showing up. Well, actually, that's Wiz taking him down to the...
That's Wiz's first kill of the game.
Oh, no.
You hate to see it.
Not the best way to start the season, but we'll give him a little bit of time. It's early days, even even just for the day. But it does give over an AK-47 to Stown, which is not exactly great. You want to make sure you don't give them anything to play with. Sure, Stown is going to be looking to save it rather than clutch the round.
Yeah, especially don't want to give it to a guy that just hit the top 10 on HLTV's list. Stown cementing himself as one of the premier players, not only in the server, but in the world. And we saw his versatility, his consistency last year for Heroic. It was another level. He was Mr. Reliable for Heroic when they were having those growing pains. Even when they were trying to bring Yabby in, we see him add another kill to his tally. And I think that someone else for Heroic, if they really want to have a crack at that major, needs to be that guy. They need someone to help out Stown, because the system is excellent. The calling is great from Cadian. Cadian himself did very well in the last quarter of the year, but if they want a real shot at winning the Blast TV Paris Major,
yes,
I want to see someone like Cadian step up. I wouldn't even mind seeing Yabby step up. I think he's been instrumental in them finding the success that they've had in the latter portion of 2022.
They've got the players for it. We know that for sure. I mean, it would have been a no-brainer to pick Stown as the best Danish player of the year last year, but Blamef just also came out and had such an insane year that that made it somehow a difficult conversation. But without him, you don't even have a choice, right? It just has to be Stown. So
what I would like to say about that matchup, Stown versus Blamef, is just it feels like it's completely different roles. Both exceptional in their positions. You would love to see them on the same team, actually. What could be done with that? But in terms of Danish players, you could pick either one, and I wouldn't be mad at you. I wouldn't say that you're wrong. But I think there's a third guy entering the fray, and we're going to see him later.
Ooh, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
That's been such a long time coming. Well, EG are off to a much better start than I was expecting. Economy is working out for them. A couple of players there rocking some cash, and Heroic putting together another buy finally in the 6th round. They have some utility to work with here. A little bit aggressive once again. They like that double setup on Banana at the moment.
They've already put their stamp on that side of the map. EG, they're going to have to lick their wounds, automatics wounds, that is, as he's already taken quite a bit of damage. But this is the classic setup from Heroic. You get that banana control early, you leave Tessus to jump spot a car, and now you can play 4 towards A. This is when the defense is impenetrable. It is when you are so disadvantaged as a terrorist. But this is why EG have to show that all that time in the lab, all those rocket scientists that Valens was propping up, they have to come to work right now.
Ooh, yeah. Hopefully they can. Hex this off with a good opening. That's not bad at all. Yabby's fighting at all fronts, but he's got some backup with Shush. If Shush doesn't get that kill, he's going to get shot in the back instead. Yabby pretty much sealing the round with that double. That's huge. Very hard when you're swiveling around like that, looking basically at your back half the time. Breeze and Nealon, 2 versus 4. They need a mistake. Instead, they get shot for the smoke. So something of the opposite happening here and again.
Oh, wow.
That's just unfair, isn't it?
Yeah, not much you can do there. I mean, there were tracers on the earlier shots, but the USP to finish it off. That's why it's just so difficult to play back, though. I was prefacing it with that early banana control from Heroic. We saw that there was even a clean entry from Hex, so it was nice there, but just the follow-up from Yabby, the swing, the fact that Shush is covering his porch side, everything went the way of out. And the main thing is in taking map control.
And he's back with another one. A little bit of a double jump. That's 4 kills with the AWP. Still nice to get that warmed up, and I'm sure someone will pick up the AWP. So Hex, not really anything you can do right now. Looking for another Deagle headshot. Maybe got close there, but eventually the cavalry is going to arrive. And Heroic got back in the lead. And they don't look too phased at the moment. They're just shrugging it off.
Yeah, not the best debut from Wiz so far. That's something we're going to keep our eye on in this game. Wiz still at -1 kills. Want to see him doing a little bit more. T-side Inferno, not always the most favorable spot for an Opper. And I will say that when looking at Wiz games coming into this, how he was playing on the other EG roster, where I think Wiz really thrives, post plants. And we have not seen him with the AWP in a post plant thus far.
Ooh, somebody's waiting for Cadian, but he doesn't ever get the chance. That's a bit of a shame. Nealon off to a good start. Could have nearly been more there. Tess has taken a fair bit of damage after the fact. And a possible, maybe a chance for EG to get a little bit of banana control, though. Look at the triple down from Heroic. They've put 3 people here after losing 1. This is crazy.
Oh, look at this flash, too. The setup is here.
Yeah, they're not playing around. Double flash to set it up. I don't think there's any way that EG could have read that there are this many people. It means 1 person at the A bomb site, and EG are not ready for it. The spray down nearly there. Wiz is going to get a kill finally, but it's a 2-on-3 now, and they've got to be confused about what exactly is going on.
This is why Heroic is so tough to play against. Also, if they have the round lead, they will throw these kinds of plays right at you. They're just going to mess up the number game. They're going to make it seem like what's happening shouldn't be possible, that if they just gamble like that, then they're leaving something completely open. But Heroic has put so much trust in their individuals, in their plays. They're always proactive in these kinds of situations, making the T side, who's supposed to be on the offense, feel like they're on the back foot.
Down ready, although they are trying to run him down, but not quite quick enough. And he reads it so well. This is why he's cracked that top 10. 11-2 right now, scoreline. He knew that they were going to come chase him down.
That's a brilliant level of confidence on display from Stown to just swing back into it. I mean, it's supported by the fact that he had a teammate that could have rotated in from CT, but you throw the molly, you usually want to play the time, but he knows that the T's expect that. They don't expect him to swing back in there, but once again, Heroic, they're showing that they're just completely in control of Banana. It is very tough for EG to find any significant footing on this map. I think that they have to change it up significantly in the next round because they threw a lot of bodies at the problem there, but it wasn't enough. So they're going to have to find an answer somewhere else across Inferno.
He was flashed into that fight. Kind of surprised that he stuck around up in the apartments, but it's an interesting problem that you bring up. I mean, if you can't win the fight on Banana, what can you actually do on this map?
You could halls pop, you could take bracket early on, you could go for a fast bracket play.
All of that is going to be really telegraphed unless you do it right off the bat, right?
That's the thing. The mind game now that's at play is that EG have lost Banana 2 gun rounds in a row. So it's very obvious that they should go for something A-centric. And so if you're Nealon, you're just in a very poor position for calling this round. Because you've been losing Banana consecutive rounds, and you know, and well, Heroic knows, all right, expect the A play.
And it played out just like you were alluding to even before it happened. They were ready. They had 3 people. They had a huge crossfire set up here to stop this kind of a horse pop because they're not that worried about Banana anymore, and EG kind of gave up on it a little bit. They're back with rifles now, but man, it's tricky. Even if they don't take the B bomb site, surely they just need to show, like, they just have to plant a flag on Banana at some point, even for like 10 seconds to say, we hold it. Now you don't really know what we're doing, but that's not been easy at the moment.
Looks like they're going to switch up the tempo, actually. They want to let Heroic burn their utility early on. You see that nobody from EG has even entered Banana just yet. They want to see if they can just have Heroic set up in a 1-4 and then do a late clear. And this is it. This is the late clear. This might actually work out for them. Cadian, he does have backup, but he's been pushed back. And this is an interesting approach from Evil Geniuses. I have to commend it because now they're the ones that are in control of Banana.
Yeah, finally. There's 3 people on the A-bomb site.
No.
That is... that's a grenade.
Yeah.
But you can have Banana, but not for free.
No. It hurt. It hurt, but they got it.
Small celebrations, perhaps, but... Question is, what could they do with it? They're going to be pretty quickly. That's actually nice. They're really moving fast behind it. So still 3 people at A. They need the opening, though. And Katie and Yabby... The crossfire is so efficient. Finally, there's Wiz taking up Katie and Yabby. They know he's somewhere in the site. The flash, it did work. But unfortunately, Yabby was flashed as well. It looked like all 3 members of EG were flashed behind that. And maybe that could have been a miraculous spray down. 3-on-3, though, in the afterplant. And the fact of that earlier grenade is still haunting EG. Wiz and Breeze are very low on health. And Hext, see what he could do. You mentioned Wiz in the afterplant. And this is maybe his first chance to really show what he could do with the AWP. He's locked in there in the back. Just a grenade, but not an HE to land on top of him, so at least that something. The smoke, though, making it hard, and they almost lined up for him. Down with another shot. It's all on Hex, that he can't handle it. 1 versus 3. They fell too soon in that after plant, and the defuse is going to be in.
That was a perfect piece of utility from Heroic right there. Yeah, they got this one. It was close, though. EG, they actually came up with a great idea there in the early mid-round for getting banana control, but that nade damage, that late smoke towards new box, all excellently placed utility. This is why Heroic are such a strong team in the world scene, because they always just have a trick. They always have an idea. One piece of utility, doesn't matter what it is, they're going to make the absolute most of it. That is a very well put together round from Heroic, even though EG put a nice one together themselves. That was one of the more competitive ones, I would say.
It was, and if they can go back and win banana 1 or 2 more times, just to kind of show what they can do. This is one part of the strat book, surely, is to like execute it pretty quickly behind it. I'm sure they have more things, but again, they have to be able to continuously win that banana fight, or at least make it a little bit competitive. So
yeah,
curious. But that round is as close as it gets. So I mean, some credit to EG for getting it there. But the problem is also now Heroic are on this win streak, right? They're just walking rounds back to back now, and that's a problem. They need to have more of a buffer going into the second half. You can see them on fire now. It's a 7-3 scoreline there, and things are looking pretty good for the Danes.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of momentum. See a slightly different approach towards banana. And Heroic, they're not actually sending 3 people early B. So this may work out in the favor of EG. Although it's just automatic. He's playing a very passive style here at Broom. Just wants to see if Heroic get a little bit too eager. And they didn't really take banana, but they're already signifying that they want bracket. And it's a clean take at that. This is a position that EG hasn't really been in where they've had this bracket control. So actually a lot of options have opened up for Nealon and the playbook.
Kaden coming back into it. And he does check it. That's some heads-up play. Breeze goes down, and Cadian, he is so bold with that AWP. He's not going to give it up. A 3rd kill as he takes down Hex. And Wiz now 1 versus 5. And that's the kind of confidence that's so ridiculous on somebody like Cadian. You can tell from that first kill he was going to keep going.
Oh yeah, he's brimming with confidence right now. He feels completely emboldened by the fact that he doesn't probably expect that there's an op trained on his angle. So those dry peeks likely, well, okay. Nice shot from Wiz, but yeah, those re-peeks from Cadian, very bold, but also there's just not much that EG are going to be able to do from it. I mean, they just won a round Heroic, so they know that the money's not the best for EG, and this first shot, that kicks it all off. After Cadian hits that, he also feels like he's in his bag in that moment.
We do have a world-class replay team here at the Blast production, but if you do miss some of those shots, you can go to blast.tv and actually you can rewind it instantly down to that little timeline. If you guys haven't checked that out, you should. It's a good place to hang out. Lots of regular people over there, so definitely do it. 8-3 is the scoreline, and Heroic, they don't seem like they're going to stop anytime soon. EG keep running out of money. Same cannot be said for the CT side at the moment. Look at that. Got a lot of cash in the bank right now. And we're back to the 4-1 split.
Yeah, they're quite healthy. Heroic. Yabby, he's forced off the angle. Good molly being deployed. This is actually going to make things rather easy for him. Nice shots, actually, from Automatic to clean him up. But it's still a 3-on-3 situation. And this push from Shush, it felt so unnecessary, but I love it. Why is he pushing when he's the solo player at A? You're not supposed to do that.
That's a high-risk kind of move, because you're right. If he goes down to Hex, then it opens up the map, and suddenly it's a really weird 2-on-3 that Heroic have to juggle. But the fact that it works just takes all of the surprise out of EG's round, right? They know exactly what's coming after that Heroic. They have such a good idea of it.
There's a couple teams in the top tier that once they get these sort of round advantages, they just become the most annoying teams to play against. Heroic are definitely one of them. FaZe, another.
Yeah, sure.
But also, just putting it out there, it's also why sometimes teams can come back against them. If they get a little bit too confident, this can open up the door, and those kind of movements, they don't always go unpunished, but EG, they're just not feeling themselves right yet. So
here's another one.
We see Shush just...
He's out on a mission. They're going to realize it's Cadian to get the kill, but 9-3. Yeah, but you're right. There are some teams, especially, I guess it's even maybe more difficult if you're as much of an underdog as EG probably is in this matchup, because you've been spending a lot of time studying Heroic over the break, and now when they're this much ahead, they might not even play like themselves so much anymore. Like, they might have that extra freedom, so obsolete within the context of just very difficult.
The numbers game that you think out the window. I mean,
yeah,
that
they can retire that now.
You have to make Heroic respect you now.
Yeah, and we'll see if they have some. They have a couple of people that have stepped up in some of these opening kills, so it could happen. Cadian, though, is going to be in a great position. Automatic going for the swing. Not ready to run into that AK. They're trying to flash Yabi out. Nealon's up next, and he does take a swing, and he takes down Yabi. So that's a very good trade. 1-for-1 at the top of Banana. They'll take that on the EG side. That's a success.
Now we see that the Heroic defense is split 2-2. This means that the A bomb side is a bit weak. But EG, they have to try to find a read here. Oh, the duel being taken from Hex does not go his way. And now Heroic, they're in the driver's seat once again. Excellent nade on top of it. And Cadian, he's even pushing for more info.
Yeah.
This is rude.
So aggressive, isn't it? Tessus is there to back him up just in case it went south, and it did. Still a 2-on-3. Wiz and Breeze, and they're not anywhere near each other, so if anyone goes down, the timing...
Oh.
It could not have been worse.
You hate to see that for Breeze.
Yeah.
Right when he turns. That would have opened up the door for EG in this round, would have given him an opportunity. But now Wiz, 1v3...
I saw you tilt your head back, Maui, before it even happened.
Yeah, because
you were about to be the witness of a crime.
You just feel like it's gonna happen. You see this car crash unfold, but you have to keep looking. Can't turn your head.
Witnesses to the kind of Wiz in a 1 versus 3, and of course that kind of thing. Cadian is looking just as excited as he always is, which I think is one of the great joys of watching Heroic. You know, obviously, you know, just hard to not get riled up watching Cadian laugh and yell and whatever else he does. 10-3. Yeah, this timing was awful, but
if you're winning, there's not